thirds, which is a photographer and artist, is something which one should try and always be aware of. If you imagine that there's, apologies if you know what it is, but I'll just say, if you imagine a grid, you drew a grid of 3 lines down, 3 lines across, you then get points there, and so on. And if you put the subject obviously being Lewis Hamilton, at one of the intersections of those points, you can add drama, you can accentuate the composition, and it will bring something to your picture. And obviously here, it might have been more advantageous to use a longer lens to get in tight on the car. But you can do that every day of the week. But it's much nicer to show this. Magazine editors love it because they can run lots of time, lots of headlines. You've got to keep the subject away from the gutter, as we call it. The gutter be in the middle of the magazine, which obviously runs dead there. So it's also employed to get more pictures used. Again, this is a commission for Bridgestone. As I said earlier, I'm a big fan of the groove tyres that they've now got rid of, because obviously if you imagine that's just a black stripe, it wouldn't be so graphic. But that presents a new challenge obviously now. It's used to be shift lens, this, so that the shift lens was invented for architectural photographers, so that it would, when you shoot the building, you look up at the building, the lines converge. But when you use a shift lens, they don't. If I move the camera, you get rid of that. I don't shoot architecturally, as a rule, but one can isolate different areas by shifting and tilting the lens. It's a great fun thing to do. You can't do it very often because it starts looking tedious. Much like the Australian picture where the stunt riders have used that, this is a similar effect on a platform. The Mercedes built a great big grandstand at the German circuit, Hockenheim, and they allow, bizarrely, because it doesn't normally happen, they allow photographers to go almost right on the roof of this grandstand, and we can look down. I shot the start of the Grand Prix, you can see all the lines again of the groove tyres to the cars have left. The cars are way over the far hairpin, so I took the opportunity to photograph the chaos of the lines, but with the start boxes of the cars. It's one of my favourites of the show. Really, there's just something about it, that almost monotone effect with a little bit of colour, fantastic graphics. Similar thing in the pit lane, just a couple of months ago, Valencia used the shadows. You don't even need it. A car would detract in this picture. Anywhere that you put the car would detract. So there's a number of us waiting for the cars to come down the pit lane. But for a split second, there were no mechanics walking about. They all go across here to the pit wall. There were no cars, no marshals, no security. It looks like a deserted place, isn't it? It's not. It's in the middle of the Grand Prix. Heath. I bet you all know who that is. You didn't need to read that. He came to the Valencia Grand Prix, or the European Grand Prix, as they call it, Valencia this year. He knows, like all of these people who come to Grand Prix, there's lots of photographers. If you got that close, you would see I'm just in there, and there's about 50 other photographers all here, all doing the same picture, or their interpretation of Michael Schumacher on the pit wall. I've never been a great Michael Schumacher fan, personally, but as far as his face goes, especially when you combine it with these mirrored shadows, really you have that distinctive feel, that big chin, that lopsided mouth. It's sounds like I love it. It really adds something to it, and the fact that it's a really sunny day, he's underneath the awning where the team managers and engineers sit, gives that kind of soft light. And the fact that the pit lane is really almost white tarmac, throws a lot of diffuse light back into it, a nice reflective diffuse light, which really adds to it. I think it kind of sums him up. Felipe Massa, the French Grand Prix last year. As part of my work with the FIA, I have to do celebrations at the end, try and show FIA branding, but not in a kind of in-your-face way, just try and show that they are there. And as part of my Bridgestone work, I also have to show the used tyres. They don't look that used when they're actually out on the track. The cars go around at the end. You might hear them on the radio when they play the radio drivers celebrate Yahooing at the end of the race. What they're going to do, what they're doing, is going around not on the racing line and picking up all the bits of rubber, which is all this, that the tyres have shed throughout the race, to add weight to the car. Because that's obviously advantageous on the scales later. So when Felipe got out of the car, mostly they get out, as you know, they stand up, give it the big shout, and they jump off. But they don't jump off quite as well as that. And his team is all over here, and he really went for it. And there's a little bit of motion on there, but I think that helps in a way. It gives that feeling. That's crystal pin sharp. You might not have that, such a kind of lovely feeling of fibrillation and a little bit of movement. Who's that? He's a pretty boy, and much better silhouette than most drivers. Schumacher, obviously, the chin would be down here. But Schumacher is some other silhouette pictures of before because he has got that distinctive face. So the same thing with Lewis in Brazil in '07. Obviously, he was fighting for the World Championship at the time, as you'll remember. And this was a press conference where he was sitting with, right here, is Fernando Alonso. They can't, well, I'll tell you they don't get on bad now, but they couldn't stand each other at the time. So Lewis is deliberately sitting slightly away. That suited me, because I went to ask for permission from McLaren to go into an area where photographers are not normally allowed. It's generally only journalists who are allowed to go and do this particular press conference. But at the back of the old pit buildings, but in Brazil, great big windows that are blue tinted. And because the circuit's built at altitude, one just doesn't, you don't have any buildings or trees or anything like that in the background. So I was just waiting for Lewis to come forward, look at the journalist who's asking the question, and shoot, underexposing CEO is 2000 at 2.5 to the frame of the windows around here, trying to lose that, but keep enough, to keep it sharp, but to underexpose it, so you get a real silhouette. Everyone always loves it. It's taken in Canada last year, and as you probably know, the Canadian circuit is built on an island in the middle of the St. Lawrence Seaway. One side you get very big ships going down the canal, and the other side is kind of lots of rapids and jet boats flying around. In the middle of that is the circuit, and in the middle of the circuit are lots of little lakes. In those lakes live these beavers, the Canadians call them critters, and they run around on the grass areas. Just here, just to the left of the picture, is a gorgeous lush bit of grass that no one can go on because it's in the middle of the circuit. He's happily sitting there having his lunch, not really aware of what's going on, decides that he likes the bit of grass the other side of the circuit, keeps trying to run for it, and every time he does, a real creeper comes past. So the challenge for the photographers, 2 or 3 photographers that are either side of me and is to show him. But I thought the challenge is to show him trying to run, trying to go at speed. So instead of shooting and capturing a car, hopefully missing it. And so I chose a shutter speed of a 30 to try and get that motion in him, because he thinks he's running fast, but he's running bloody slow. So his legs are this long, and he's really young. And so he's really concentrating. As he went for it, he's kind of on the blocks, and bang, he goes for it. Hamilton comes around the corner, perfect for this Hamilton, because the grey of the track, the grey of the car, but the yellow of Lewis's helmet. Everyone knows Lewis Hamilton's helmet. It was his teammate, Kovalainen. That would also be grey, but he was obviously wanted to be the world champion. You've got the red here. The red is the Vodafone brand in there, and a bit of red of advertising board in here, and it really brings that alive. If that was a dark car or a very opaque car, like this year's Broad, it wouldn't work because it would detract from him. But the fact that he's retained some sharpness, almost all his legs are off the ground, and you've got sharpness here, but the bridge that's flicked around, really kind of brings that up to life. My wife's not my best ever picture, but Jensen last week in Italy, just before the start of the race. Jensen's been really quite nervy in the last few months, and the other drivers are starting to chip away at this championship lead. As you know, he won the 6 races at the start of the year. We're all, most of us are really, really happy. He's a fantastic guy. We all want him to be world champion. I've known and worked with him for quite a long time since he came into Formula 1, since the day he signed Formula 1 actually.